Well, g'day everyone, and welcome to this brand new discipleship experience called Story Day. I hope you're doing really well, and today the purpose of this video is just to walk you through some of the pre-work that we'd love you to come with to the first session of Story Day. Now, of course, Story Day is a experience that is designed to help you reconcile yourself to your past, to acknowledge the gifts that you have in the present, and then to speak into the passions that you have for the future as a way of being able to understand and come to grips with the story you find yourself in, the story I find myself in the context of the bigger story that Jesus is telling on the earth. Now, when you received your pack, you should have a whole bunch of things in there, but a couple of the things that we'd love you to just get out right now in terms of this pre-work is your timeline on this A3 piece of paper, a pen, and also your highlighters. Because coming to the first session where we're going to be talking about your past and your own story, we're going to be using this timeline to do that. Now, to explain a little bit more about that, you think, well, why is Story Day diving into my past? Well, here's the reason why. I don't know if you've ever seen an Olympic rower, but they row and they face backwards. They're not actually looking at the finish line, but they're looking at where they've come from. And they have these markers along the way where as they are rowing, they're lining themselves up with the markers of where they've been in order to show them where they're going. And that's a little bit like what we're doing with this first exercise that I would love you to bring to the first session. As we look at this timeline, what I'd love you to do is to think about your timeline and your past, your story, as markers, like rowers' markers, that when you can see where you've come from, it actually helps us then be able to orientate ourselves to the future that God has for us. So on this timeline, you will have a line that's going right across the middle of the page, and that's to designate the time, the history of your life, if you like. So starting over one side, you've got when you were born, and then you move your way forward to the arrow, which is on into the present and the future that you've got. And then down the bottom, you've got three little circles, three little squares to color in people, places, and pain. Now I want you to think about your story in the context of those three P's. So we're going to do this together. I'm going to demonstrate this to you, and then you can always, once you're doing this timeline, the QR code is on the timeline itself. So when you need to remember how to do it, you can just QR code there and it'll bring you back right to this video. So I'm going to pop on there 1980 as my beginning point, because that's when I was born. And I'm going to write St. George Hospital. I'm going to write St. George Hospital right there. And so that's going to become a place. So I've got my time, and I'm going to pick green for my places. So I color that in green, and then I'm going to put St. George Hospital there. That's a significant place for me because that is where I was born. And so that I might put it around that same time, people, I might put mum and dad. They enter my story right at the beginning as well. People, I'm going to give yellow. And so I'm going to highlight those guys yellow. And so you can see there, I've begun my timeline by popping the date and then putting St. George Hospital, the significant place, and then my mum and dad, the significant people, and I've highlighted them there inside of my timeline. And so you can add in whatever you want. But I would love you to be really honest and really go into some of these places, these people, and then these moments of pain, because they are going to help you be able to understand where you've come from. So other things on this story might be my primary school, then my high school that's in there, and you list the people and the places that you've been. I'm going to pop in there places that I've been to, like countries that I visited that were significant to me. So I'm going to pop Cambodia in there a little bit further on down the track. I'm going to pop in pop in the USA because that was a formative experience for me. I'm going to put in things like, all of those kinds of things are going to go in there, and I'm going to color those green. That's the color I've chosen for all my significant places. Now, what about pain? Well, I'm going to put a pain moment in here when I was 18 and a good friend of mine passed away. His name was Alan, and so he's going to go in there, and my places of pain are going to be, I've chosen orange for that. So he's going to go in there, and my places of pain are going to be orange. And so I'm going to put that in there as well. I'm going to put, obviously, Jody in there just after that when we got married. So she goes in and she's yellow. And then we're going to keep going through this story. I was hospitalized as a child for asthma constantly over and over again. They were obviously not great things. They were places of pain for me. I'm going to put those in. Hospital. So again, I'm already starting to see a theme. I've got St. George Hospital in there a number of times now. And so that goes in as well. That's a green place. But also because of that, that's a moment of pain. So that goes in as orange. You get the picture. What we'd love you to do is come to the first session of Story Day with your timeline complete. Now, you're not going to be asked to go through it all in extensive detail, and you're only going to have to share on there what you feel comfortable. But it is important that you put down there everything that you can remember, as much space as is provided on that sheet for you to be able to come to the first session with a deep sense, a clear sense of where God has brought you from into the present day. Now, of course, one of the most important things is your spiritual journey through this process as well. So I might put in here the time when I became a Christian, when I turned my heart to Jesus, when I began to follow Jesus. I might pop in here the time when I started serving on a ministry. There'll be church experiences in here. That some of those experiences will be places, some of them might also be painful. Some of them might have people attached to it. There are going to be significant people through your journey as well. And so once we've done all of those things, then you'll be able to bring that to our first session of Story Day together. We're so excited that you've said yes to be part of this journey. Of course, once we've done this timeline, you're going to hear more in the first session about any pre-work that needs to be done before the following session on our present and the gifts, what's in our hand, and then of course, thirdly, what our passions are into the future as well. God bless you. We love you so much. We're excited to go on this journey of Story Day together. We'll see you really soon.